Sanbonani, Dumelang, Aware, good day, Molweni. I wish I could greet in all languages. Kodwa ke, I do not know all languages, so I will just say good day. Thank you so much for joining in and for, I'm just trying to breathe, joining in my channel. I really appreciate it. For those who are here for the very first time, my name is Linda Nikumete, and I'm excited to share on the topic at hand, yet I am very, very nervous to share on this topic at hand. And so, yeah, it's a very sensitive topic. What I do want to quickly talk about is I wish the church could talk more about pornography. I wish the church could talk more about pornography. It's a very, very sensitive topic, and it's sensitive for a number of reasons, but you know what? Let's go in. And I think there's various reasons why the church does not talk about pornography. And I think one of the big reasons is that, as a pastor, if you do speak and say, this is something that I've been struggling with, or this is something that I'm currently struggling with, and if you do confess, and even if you say I'm going to see a therapist, for example, the church can potentially fire you. You risk the chance of being fired because number one, there is a breakdown of trust. Congregations might feel like they don't trust you anymore. The females in the congregation might feel like they're not safe with the pastor anymore. But number two, as well, you run the risk of being fired because as a church we have idolized this position of being a pastor, and we have made it a position of perfection. And so the moment a pastor makes mistakes, the moment a pastor falls from grace or makes mistakes, people want to get them fired, not realizing a pastor is a human being who makes mistakes as well. Just like the congregation are human beings who also make mistakes, who also are in need of grace, so is the pastor as well. So I think majority, or maybe some pastors, do not share on this topic because they run a risk of being fired. And I've heard a couple of pastors who have gotten fired, whether you're male or female, who have gotten fired, for the confession of pornography. And I think and as I said, the church feels like they cannot trust them anymore. Even though they are seeking therapy or are seeking help or are seeking counseling, there's been a breakdown of trust. And also, I guess, people have idolized this position of being a pastor. And because of that, this perfected position that the man of God is not supposed to make any mistakes. You walk close with God, he's not supposed to make any mistakes. And so I think that's partially one of the reasons why a lot of churches and a lot of pastors are not talking about this, because there is a possibility. I'm not saying it is true. Please, I am not saying it's true, but I'm saying there is a possibility that there are some pastors who might be struggling with pornography. But nonetheless, I am going to share my story, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to be fired. So I must say, please subscribe. In case I do get fired, I believe that I won't, but please subscribe, so that I can get some funding from YouTube in case anything happens, because as I said, it's a very, very sensitive topic. So I'll talk about my introduction to pornography and how it also affected my relationship, how it affected my relationship in the dating phase and also in the marital phase, but mostly in the marital phase. So before I even mention my story, it is interesting that from the age of 8 until the age of being a young adult, well, let me rather put it this way, children at the age of 8 are being exposed to pornography already. Statistics are showing that the sexual exposure of pornography to children, it's already starting from the age of 8. And so from the age of 8, if you are a male, from 8 to being a young adult, there's a chance, there's 80% of men, could be more, have already watched porn from the age of 8 to being a young adult. If you are female, from the age of 8 to being a young adult, statistics say that there could be 57 to 63% of women have already watched pornography from the age of 8 to being a young adult. And so there is a large majority of people who have watched pornography, including people who are also in the congregation as well. So how did I get introduced to porn? That's a good question. If you are asking, I will tell you. I got introduced to porn when I was 12 years old. I had a friend who came over to our home, to my home, and my parents were not there, and we had a dial-up internet, you know, those dial-up internets where you plugged it into the CPU, and then when you go on the internet, the phone connection is off, people cannot call you because you're going on the internet, and it was a dial-up that people knew. You know, when they heard that national anthem of the internet, people knew that you are going on the internet. It was so loud, your neighbors even knew that you were going online. So my friend went online. He heard that we had internet, so he came over, went online, and then he went to this site. When you got to the site, it was a whole porn site, and I was introduced to a whole new world of pornography. And unfortunately, from there, I had gotten addicted to pornography from the age of 12. And it continued until the age where I was, like, I think 17 in high school. And it stopped in high school at the age of 17. I think I was in grade 10 or 11. About late grade 10 and beginning grade 11. It stopped then because that's when I had desired to have a relationship with God, and I was going deep in my relationship with God. And so for a period, it stopped in high school until I finished high school, went into university, and when I went to tertiary, I had watched stints of pornography again, that continued to when I'd finished school and then also started working. But then only later on in my 20s could I officially overcome the addiction of pornography. I think it was like my late 20s, mid 20s to late 20s. So 25, 26 was when I had really overcome this addiction of pornography, because it is an addiction. And for me, I overcame it by replacing the addiction with another addiction. And so for me, I stopped pornography. I had to wean myself off it. And then I had officially stopped it, but I had to replace this addiction with something else. So I replaced it with gym and weightlifting, and that became one of the things that kept my mind very busy. That became one of my addictions. So how did this affect me in my relationship? I'm gonna say there's 3 ways that it affected me in my relationship. The first first way that it affected me is that I had these high expectations with when I get married and when we have sex, that it's going to look like the way it looks like on TV or the way it looks like on the porn sites. And so I had come into marriage with that expectation, and I thought sex is going to be amazing, it's going to be great, and it was not that amazing at first, because I had this image that was implanted in me, and I thought that is the image that would follow me in my marriage, and that was not the case. So it caused some disappointment to me, and maybe also to my wife, I had not really asked her this as yet, so maybe I'll ask her later on. But it caused a bit of disappointment to me and some level of frustration because my expectations were not met the way I thought they would be met. The second thing that it caused is that it caused me to compare my wife to the other women who were on TV or on those porn sites who were performing sexually, not knowing that the women on TV or on the websites have sexually enhanced drugs that help them to perform at that level that they're performing. And so the comparison was really a problem. And I think that's one of the problems. I just need to say it out there that there's a risk that you might compare your partner to the next person that you saw on the site, and there's a danger to that as well. And the third thing that it caused, amongst the three problems, the third thing that it caused is that it caused me to also objectify my wife, and it can, I think, also cause men to objectify women. It can also cause women to objectify men, and we might see women or men as tools to satisfy our sexual needs, and not see human beings for being human beings. We're not seeing our partners as subjects, but there's a risk that we might see them as objects to satisfy our sexual needs. And as I said in my previous video, sex is something that is amazing. Sex is something that is created by God, and I believe that God wants Christians to have a lot of sex, because it's something that is really amazing and something that is great, and it's a gift that is available for your enjoyment. And nonetheless, I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching this video. Have an amazing